Hannes Grobler and Richard Leake's victory on the Mafikeng 500 brings Nissan's tally of wins up to 6 for the 2004 ABSA Off-Road Championship. And it's a triumphant return to special vehicle competition for Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rousseau in the Advansoft bat. And there's no stopping Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford as they romp to their 5th successive Class D win in the Arnold Schatz Cars Nissan.
The South African Off-Road Championship is proudly brought to you by ABSA. Speak to ABSA first for fast, flexible vehicle finance. We can also structure an asset finance solution to suit your business needs. It's really never been easier.
Round 6 of the ABSA Off-Road Championship was held in the Mafikeng area recently. The Northwest Province capital is a vibrant hub and a major tourist attraction with abundant wildlife, history and culture topping the bill. Mafikeng means the place among the rocks, a name given to the area by the Baralong chiefs in 1852. Leisure activities are well catered for, and the area has been home to the Mafikeng 500 for 4 years. This year's event was sponsored by Atlas Copco, O'Hagan's, First Prize Trophies, ATS Motorsport Supplies, Total and the Northwest Parks and Tourism, and attracted 31 production vehicle and 28 special vehicle entries. With the championship delicately poised in all the classes, it would be critical for the contenders to finish and amass as many additional points as possible. The special vehicle category saw the return to competition of brothers and arch rivals Gary and Bevan Bertholdt in the Advansoft and iTech bats respectively, and the much improved Atlas Copco bat of Henry Costain and Renier Euster. All the artillery the opposition could muster was ranged on the proudly South African Nissans in Class T and the Arnold Schatz Cars Nissan Hardbody in Class D, which had dominated the production vehicle category all season. Grobler and Leake had led all season, but their advantage had been whittled down to 1 point, and they were now under threat from teammates de Villiers and Jordan, Cox and Pitchford, and Team Fords Woolridge and Scholthammer. Reigning production vehicle champions Grobler and Leake and teammates de Villiers and Jordan had each won 2 races and finished in the runner-up position on 1 occasion each. Cox and Pitchford had shown the rest of the Class D field the way home on 4 successive occasions and were in line to win the class championship and to challenge for the overall championship too. Three successive class wins at the start of the season have given Hugo and Father Jaap de Bruin the edge in the Class E battle. The Toyota pair is likely to win the class championship for the 2nd time. Atang Mafikeng and Bucks Carolyn have a comfortable lead in the special vehicle category, but the Total Jimco pair cannot let down its guard because with 3 events to go, there are at least 3 crews who can pull off a surprise win. Mafikeng has won 3 events and Carolyn 2, and based on current form, are the likely special vehicle champions. The prologue to determine starting positions for the main event was won by Grobler and Leake, with Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham topping the Class D leaderboard, while Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst were the fastest Class E qualifiers.
It went very, very well. It was very fast. It was like a rally stage. We had 1 or 2 mishaps in a corner that we were too fast, but we enjoyed it, and I think the route tomorrow will be, if it's fast like this, I think we've got a good chance to win it.
Oh, I'm very unhappy. The pace was very, very fast, and here the dust is terrible, so it's imperative to get a good start. And within 20 k's from the start, we caught up to the one Nissan, and they just wouldn't move over. We jumped on the screamer all the time, on the hooter. They saw us at the 90-degree turns to try and get past them. They just wouldn't let us past in the dust. So consequently, we sat behind them for the last 20 k's, and I think we've lost 3 minutes, maybe even a little bit more. So tomorrow's going to really be an uphill battle. But I'll have a chat to them a bit later. I don't think now's the right time because I'm not feeling on top of the world, but I'll have a chat to them later and just see what the problem was. It's certainly not in the spirit of off-road racing. We have rules in place. If there's a faster car behind you, he's supposed to let you past. And quite clearly we're much faster. If they did have a problem, even more so, that they should have moved over. They didn't move over, so it's effectively puts us in a bit of a car park to start tomorrow morning, which is a big problem in this dust.
Yes, our plan was today to go as fast as possible because we know tomorrow is going to be a problem with the dust. We had a good, well, the first 26 Ks we had a good run, but unfortunately we got behind a Sandmaster. And every time we get a bit closer, you know, he went off the road and then you had to back off again and you catch him again, so we lost a couple of seconds at the end. The car went beautifully, no problems at all. It handles unbelievably on the stuff. I prefer sort of this more faster route than the roof type events, so I also enjoyed it.
This kind of terrain is very nice. As I said to you last time, Lesotho is also nice. It's a much slower race. This race is fast, very dusty. I had bad luck again. I was seated in a position where I caught up the competitor in front of me, and I had to contend with about 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers before the end with his dust that obviously slowed me down a little bit. But other than that, the terrain is very nice. It's my kind of race, and it's not too rough. The vehicles should last. I don't know what the second loop tomorrow would look like, but I think if we look at what happened today, it was quite enjoyable, and this is the kind of race I enjoy.
Ja, yes sir. Nee, ek sê vir Jabie vandag toe ons kom, ek sê ons in my hometown, naby my hometown, so hoop dit gaan goed man. Ek geniet dit om in hierdie terrein te ry. Baie lekker. Lekker vinnig en daar's 'n bietjie reisies verstaan, so ek sien baie uit na môre.
The objective was to go out as hard as we could and obviously take the top 10 place and obviously win the class, you know, to start tomorrow. I remember last year it was very dusty and you needed to be near the front, and so it was flat out. As Shinazuka will say, maximum attack. We did it, but I haven't driven since Lesotho, so it took me 5 or 6 kilometers to get used to the vehicle sideways and everything. But once I was into it, but it's very fast, so it wasn't too difficult out there. Not many obstacles, but all in all, I thought it was really nice time trial.
Versus the V6 again, we need a little bit more grunt down the long straight. You're almost crouching in the back of the seat to try and get this thing to go, but unfortunately it's a 4-cylinder. We shouldn't forget that, and it's been good. I think the car's just kept me going well.
We only had power steering for 5 kilometers into the route, and 15 k's after that I could still hang on, but I mean after that it just gets so tiring, and it was difficult to stay on the route because it knocks the steering out of your hands. But we'll try and fix it, and obviously we're going to be in the dust tomorrow.
The special vehicle category saw Noble and Hope outqualify the Class A field by a wide margin, where Smith and Limo were the fastest in Class A, with Class B championship leaders Taylor and De Chilane the only Class B crew in the top 10.
The vehicle is great. I mean, it's got all the speed for all the straights that we had, and all the tights, it just takes it out all the time. The condition was great. It was nice. Very nice. I liked it. I'm not looking for a first, maybe a top 10.
Yeah, I think it was great. It was just very, very fast. I think we just need to do a little bit of mapping on the car, make it a little bit quicker. It's running a little bit rich. It doesn't seem to want to pull through. And this is just really fast stuff. It's great. We never had any dust, so we're great.
The route was very fast. I really enjoyed it. One section, it was a 3.5k loop before you turned, and it just goes by in like 2 minutes. It was really fast. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The car's excellent. The tongue drove like an absolute champion. We did in the wrong slot. Our Odo stopped working after 22 kilometers, so I just read it off the book. The marking was good. You've got to be wide awake here, and I'm really looking forward to the race tomorrow.
Well, the prologue was excellent. We had no problems. I think it was fast, very fast. And the marking was excellent, so I think everybody was going flat out. But obvious with us now with the new changes on the car and the extra horsepower, I'm glad we did it, because today I think the horsepower is going to count everything for tomorrow. But I think the guys that's going to read something into this, I think the whole route tomorrow is going to look like that's going to make a big mistake, because this place can get very nasty. But we'll be there. We're going to chase this youngsters.
It was quicker. It was very quick. The only thing we had a problem with, there was new markers and old markers, so that confused us a bit, whether we were on the right route or the wrong route. But other than that, no problems. Ran without the intercom, and the car was fine. hopefully we set a good pace and we'll take it from there.
Unfortunately, the markers changed colour and we took a wrong route. I ended up starting behind my brother and doing an extra 12 kilometers of the route today. We went through the same Marshall Point twice, so it's a bit of a rough day. I think we lost about 7 minutes and we're going to have a lot of work to do tomorrow to catch up.
Crews were greeted by cold, overcast weather and extremely windy conditions on Saturday morning. Dust has always been a major problem on this event, but crews could expect some relief from the wind. Mafikeng even had time for a photo call. Ahead of the 59 starters lay a figure-of-8 route, which included fast open sections, dry riverbeds, dense bush and thick sand. Krobler and Leek were first away in the proudly South African Nissan hardbody and wouldn't have to contend with any dust, which was a huge advantage for the championship-leading crew. Botswana-based Mohammed Noble and Richard Hope were next off the line and would have 4 special vehicle crews breathing down their necks, including John Ware-Smith and Joe Lima, Atang Mafikeng and Bucks Carolyn in the Total Jimco, and Henry Gestain and Renier Juster in the Atlas Copco batch. There was drama on the start line. Shamir Variawa was having gear selection problems on the Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter, which allowed Neil Woolridge and Ken Schultheimer to gain a place in the Team Ford Racing Ranger. Woolridge had the bit between his teeth and was intent on beating the Nissans this time out. A frustrated Variawa was forced to concede position after position while technicians tried to solve the problem on the start line. De Villiers and Jordan started 21st and had a lot of ground to make up, while at the head of the field it was all plain sailing for teammates Krobler and Leek. Furniture Raceco of Noble and Hope is a lot shorter than the Jimco and Bat vehicles and is fitted with a potent Chevy LS1 V8 motor, while Ware-Smith's Coppernon Super Team Jimco sports A-arm front suspension and is fitted with a BMW 540 V8 engine. The Mafikeng's Chevy LS1 powered Total Jimco is incredibly fast and more than a match for the lighter Nissan V6 and Audi V8 powered Bats in Class A. Woolridge's Team Ford Racing Rangers seems to have the edge on the Nissans in the handling stakes, but is not quite on the pace when it comes to top speed, which would be a disadvantage on the fast open sections of the Mafikeng 500. The rest of the field followed in quick succession, with Bat concessionaire Nick Harper and Andrew Chalupsky ahead of Class D leaders Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham in the Ford Ranger. Class A contenders Frikkie Botha and Blackie Swart in the Pro Coat Jimco, Arnold Duplessis and George Baker in the Class D BB Auto Nissan, and Class E leaders Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the Tyco Toyota Hilux. Class D championship leaders Cox and Pitchford were next in the Arnold Chatz Cars Nissan hardbody, followed by Henry Zamatin and Bodo Zwegler in the Mastercraft PlayStation Pajero, and Class E leaders Hugo and Jaap de Bruin in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. Reigning Class D champions Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo had a dismal season so far and were hoping for a good finish, as were Bevan Berthold and Nick Selemalela in the I-Tech bat. Castrol Toyota pair Paolo Piazza Musso and Rod Herring in the Hilux 2.7i. Father and son Cliff and Louis Weichelt in the Bosel N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux, and Mark Cronier and Chris Birkin in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i. De Villiers and Jordan had to battle through choking dust as they chased after the leaders. The wind gusted to such an extent that signage was blown away and TV cameras and tripods were at risk of being blown over. There were no such problems for Grobler and Leek as they extended their lead over the rest of the field. Noble and Hope's lead in the special vehicle category was under threat from Lesotho Sun 400 winner Weir Smith and stand-in co-driver Lima, who were mere seconds behind the Kopanong Hotel Super Team Jimco. Mafikeng and Carolyn were also closing in fast in the total Jimco, while Woolridge and Scholthammer had gained a number of positions and were starting to hunt down the leading Nissan. Woolridge would make quick work of Mafikeng. Kirstein and Eustace's run would soon come to an end when they hit a ditch and broke a bolt on the rear swing arm of the Atlas Copco bat, while Harper and Chalupski's bat blew a cylinder head gasket and they too were forced to retire. Schroeder and Pecker were in top form and setting a blistering pace in the Class D leading Ford Ranger. Duplessis and Baker were second in Class D, but would later lose time with a broken steering that had to be repaired in the pits. Chris Visser grew up in nearby Barbaspan and revelled in the conditions in which he learned to drive as a youngster. Cox and Pitchford could make no impression on the Class D leaders and would rely on being able to complete the race without having to stop to refuel, while behind them Bevan Berthold and Nick Selemalela had power steering problems on the I-Tech bat and were heading for retirement. Zamatin and Schwegler were plagued by fuel pressure problems on the Mastercraft PlayStation Pajero and would eventually be overtaken by the De Bruins in the Class E Championship leading Castrol Toyota Hilux and by Grobler and Prinsloo in the GBS Racing Nissan. Cronier and Birkin had managed to overtake teammates Piazza Musso and Herring, while De Villiers and Jordan quietly went about gaining position after position in their chase to the head of the field. Class E winners on the Sun City 400, Hein Mulman and Cecil Fincham, were second in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux KZTE and being chased by the Weichelts in the Class D Bosel N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux and Variawa and Dudhier, who had finally got the gear shift problems on the Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter sorted out. Chris Fick and Rob Knight were having a good run in the Class D Kopanong Hotel Super Team Land Rover. The pace was hot as the rest of the field reassembled the charge of the Light Brigade as they approached the corner from every direction. Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau started 50th in the Advent Soft Bat and had gained 10 places in the first 20 minutes of the race. Drama for Zane Pierce and Henny Vosloo in the Castrol Toyota Hilux KZTE.
We were trying to overtake. We gave the guy about 3 hoots and he didn't move over. And we moved over to overtake him, and in the brush over here there's quite a big bump. We hit it at a high speed and just rolled, end over end.
Are they going to try and get you? Yeah.
proudly South African Nissan crew Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek had a comfortable lead in the production vehicle category and were under no real threat from second place Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer in the Team Ford Racing Ranger. However, the Ford pair was under threat from Janelle de Villiers and Francois Jordan, who had carved their way through the field to occupy third place. The Class D battle was hotting up and there was a new leader. Reigning Class E champions Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin were on a charge in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i and had overtaken Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham in the V6 powered Team Ford Racing Ranger. Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford were third in the Arnold Chatz Cars Nissan Hardbody, while in Class E, Hein Moorman and Cecil Fincham had grabbed the lead in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux KZTE and were closely followed by Hugo and Jaap de Bruyn in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i. Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst lost the lead when they picked up a puncture on the Tyco Toyota Hilux 2.7i. Andre Botha and Beans Heidenreich in the Kopenhagen Hotel Super Team Chevy were the lone entrants in Class F, and their race would end when the power steering failed. Super Team teammates John Weir-Smith and Joe Lima led the special vehicle category in the BMW 540 V8 powered Junko, but were being chased by arch rivals and special vehicle championship leaders Atang Mafikeng and Bucks Carolyn in the total Junko, in which Mafikeng won last year's Mafikeng 500. Noble and Hope were third overall and first in Class S in the Abe's Furniture Raceco, while Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rousseau had come from 50th to 4th in the Advansoft bat. Former Class B champions Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane were the leading Class B crew in the JRE, with reigning Special Vehicles Drivers champion Giel Nel second in the Look ATE Truggy. And the Radflow Zarco Light of Warren Clarkson and Kim Dixon third. The midway point of the Mafikeng 500 and race leaders Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek bypassed the pits without refueling. Special vehicle category leaders Weir-Smith and Lima don't have the fuel range on the Kopenhagen Hotel Super Team Jimco and have to pit on every race. The Team Ford Racing Ranger, like the Nissans, has the range, and Woolridge simply stopped to get some information from Murray Stewart.
Nou, it's around. Zeep using it.
Watch the rocks.
It was going fine. Unfortunately, we had to refuel. Our tanks aren't big enough, but so far so good.
Cronje lost the Class D lead to Cox, Schroeder and Duplessis, who did not have to refuel. The Weifelds were having problems with the Bosel N1 4x4 Toyota and were forced to pit. But not so for Class E leaders Moorman and Fincham in the diesel-powered 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux, which was campaigned by Cassie Coetzee in 2003.
Just got a bad vibration, we don't know, we can't seem to find what's wrong. And it's quite heavy on fuel, but that's going well, we're enjoying it. Oh, nice. We had a flat tire, but... Red Bull, Chris. Going very well.
Oh, it's fast, huh? Very fast. We just had a problem. We fell into a ditch early in the morning. And it took us about half an hour to get the car out.
50 minutes behind the first game. But don't go anyway.
Ja, goed. Dat is moeilijk.
Right.
Rough, but it's lekker, very lekker. Very lekker. We lost brakes 20 k's ago, but it's fixed up.
You get weight, man.
We're going to go now.
Hannes Krogler and Richard Leek now had a lead of 4 minutes over Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer in the production vehicle category battle. Janelle de Villiers and Francois Jourdan were a further minute back and pushing hard to make an impression on the leaders, while John Weir-Smith and Joe Lehman led the special vehicle category by 2 minutes from Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rousseau, who had a storming drive and had made up 48 places. Atang Mafikeng and Bucks Carolyn were third and being slowed by fuel pump problems. The only hilly section on the Mafikeng 500 was in an area near the Botswana border. Krogler and Leek still led in the proudly South African Nissan hardbody, with Woolridge and Scholthammer taking advantage of the terrain, which suited the nimbler Team Ford Racing Ranger well, to close the gap by a small margin. Janelle de Villiers and Francois Jourdan were now dangerously close. John Weir-Smith and Joe Lima hadn't put a wheel wrong in the Kopanong Hotel Super Team Jimco, and a second successive special vehicle category win looked to be on the cards. Advent's off-bat crew, Gary Bertholdt and Siegfried Rousseau, maintained their charge. The reigning Class A Drivers' Champion competed in a Class D Nissan hardbody during the first part of the season, then made the decision to return to special vehicle competition. The fuel pump problem on the Total Jimco was caused by air in the fuel system, and Mafikeng and Carolyn were forced to stop on a number of occasions to bleed air from the system. Victory seemed to be out of the question, but any points earned would extend their commanding championship lead even further. Not having to stop to refuel gave Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford a huge advantage, and they now had a big lead over their Ford and Toyota rivals. Mohammed Noble and Richard Hope had eased their pace a little and were more concerned with winning Class S than challenging for the overall lead. Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham were second in Class D, but their run would come to an end 60 kilometres from the finish when the prop shaft on the Team Ford Racing Ranger broke. The slightly battered Castrol Toyota Hilux of Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin was third in Class D. They later lost time with a puncture. Frikkie Botha and Blackie Swart were having a good race in the Lexus V8-powered Pro Code Jimco, which had in the past been plagued by reliability problems. Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo in the GBS Racing Nissan Hardbody were fourth in Class D, with Hein Mulman and Cecil Fincham the Class E leaders in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux, ahead of Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the Tyco Toyota Hilux. Rookie Gavin Cronje and veteran co-driver Robin Houghton in the Castrol Toyota Hilux weren't far behind the leading bunch. Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane had had a faultless run up to now and were well clear of the rest of the Class B field, which included veteran Giel Nel in the Look ATE Truggy and Audrey Roots and Dion de Kock in the Global DAD WPP. Hannes Grobler and Richard Link almost blew their chances when they picked up a puncture in the dying stages of the race, which allowed Woolridge and Scholthammer and de Villiers and Jordan to get dangerously close. De Villiers and Jordan got past the Ford when Woolridge and Scholthammer also picked up a puncture with 20 kilometers to go. The Team Ford racing pair couldn't believe their bad luck and would have to settle for third. A similar fate befell special vehicle leaders Ware Smith and Lima, which allowed Bertholdt and Rousseau to grab the lead. Ware Smith has the reputation of being a real charger and tried his utmost to close the gap on and overtake the bat, but to no avail. Cox and Pitchford had Class D in the bag, which would put them in strong contention for the overall production vehicle championship. Frikkie Botha and Blackie Swart had a flawless run in the Pro Code Jimco and would be rewarded with a third overall in the special vehicle category. Mohammed Noble and Richard Hope were in line for a well-earned Class S win and fourth overall in the Abe's Furniture Raceco, which at times appeared to be a handful. Try as they might, but Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin could make no impression on Class D leader Cox. The Castrol Toyota pair eventually finished 7.5 minutes behind the winning Nissan. An injector pipe shared on Hein Mulman and Cecil Fincham's 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux, and they had to limp home on 3 cylinders, which allowed Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst to grab the Class E lead in the Tyco Toyota Hilux. Shamir Variawa and Nadine Dudhier were 5th overall in the Oven Fresh Biscuits Porter. One wonders where they would have finished had they not lost considerable time when they landed in a donga early in the race. GBS Racing's Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo struggled with brake and fuel pressure problems and were very happy to finish, as were Cliff and Louis Weichelt, who had serious vibration and fuel pump problems on the Bosel N1 4x4 Toyota Hilux. Castrol Toyota crew Gavin Cronje and Robin Houghton were heading for their second Class E podium finish of the season, while Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane had a clean run in the Class B leading JRE. Ufumzi Rubeluza and Kulili Fakaliso brought the Team Ford Racing Ranger home 4th in Class E and 11th overall, while Giel Nel finally got his championship campaign underway by finishing 2nd in Class B, ahead of 9th placed Atang Mageghaneni and Bucks Carolyn in the Total Jimco, which was still suffering from fuel pressure problems. Class D contenders Henry Zamatin and Bodo Zwegler battled with fuel feed problems throughout the race and had to settle for 12th overall and 5th in class. Father and son, Johan and Rian Gerber, completed the race without an Odo, which resulted in them wrong slotting and getting lost more often than they could remember. Terence Marsh and Mike Whitehouse lost time wrong slotting during the race and also had a sticking fuel throttle on the Nashua Mobile Jimco and were happy to finish 6th overall. 60-year-old Ernest Corbett and son-in-law Warwick Goosen finished 10th overall and 3rd in Class B in the Century Property Development Spat. The finish of the Mafikeng 500 and another overall win for Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek and Nissan's 6th successive victory this season.
Ended up very good for us. We won. It was a tough one. There was something of everything: sand, rocks. We had a flat wheel. Odo went and we battled a little bit in the front to get the road. Richard did a very, very good job. And the car was very, very good, and we're very happy.
Second for Janelle de Villiers and Francois Jordan, and Nissan's 3rd 1-2 finish of the season.
Yeah, I must say it's one that I really enjoyed. It was tough this morning with all the dust getting past the guys, but we actually got past quite quickly in the beginning. In the beginning we lost some time, but luckily then I think about 50 k's in there was some rain and the dust wasn't too bad, and we could get past the guys. But it was still difficult to get past them because it was very narrow and stuff. But all in all, a very good race for us and a good second place. I'm very happy with that.
3rd for Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer in the Team Ford Racing Ranger.
We really tried hard. You know, we started 7th this morning on the road, so there was a bit of dust, but fortunately the guys were quite good and we got past quite quickly. And at the halfway point, I think we were probably about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes behind Hannes. But in the straight line, the cars are just so fast. You know, we battle a bit on the open stuff. Once we got into the copies there, where the mountains, we closed right up to I think about 50 seconds. And but we had Janelle right on our tail as well. We'd been holding him off for most of the day, so it was a hard battle. And he shot past us on the one turn. And then immediately we got into the open fast stuff again, and we just had to settle for 3rd basically. We got a puncher just as we joined the time trial on the end here, but it wouldn't have changed the result anyway.
A 5th successive Class D win for Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford in the Arnold Chats Cars Nissan Hardbody.
Look, it was a dogfight. I mean, Mark arrived, he was putting a lot of pressure, and then sort of I went behind Arnold Duplessis for him to know that we're there, and then I tried to pass him in the veld, and as I moved out, Mark took my place, so he sneaked up. Arnold let him pass, then let me pass, and then they weren't getting away, so we were lying in 3rd. It was Toyota, Ford, and then the Nissan, and they weren't getting away, and we thought, okay, pit stop strategy, we don't have to stop. But let's try that. We look after the car and we'll give it maximum attack on the second loop. So we came into the pits, out we went, and I think they turned in, then we were leading, and then we put our heads down. But little did we know, we got on the rough section over there, looked behind us, the Ford was back on our tail again. So Manfred, I tell you what, they were pushing today like you can't believe. Then it was down to within seconds, and then we got to the rocky section over there, and I knew in front you've got an advantage, and he's battling in the dust, and I think he must have punched the tire. It's worked our way, but today, excellent race.
The Class E win went to Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the Tyco Toyota Hilux 2.7i.
Ja, ek het nie eintlik dit verwag nie, maar het is baie lekker geweest. Ons het baie lekker gery. Ons het in die eerste lap, die eerste loop het ons net 'n paar wiel gehad en eentjie gery toe vergeet ek om die jack vas te maak. Stop ons weer en vasgemaak en vanaf word weer uit die service beter gegooi en word weer uitgeklik. Twee loop niks probleem.
Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau romped home in the Advent Soft Bat to win the special vehicle category.
Buddy, well done, eh?
He started 50th.
It's been a very long day in the office. I had the most fantastic navigator. Siegfried just did an absolutely incredible job today. The car was faultlessly prepared by Achim. Thank you very much to Pastel and Advanced Soft. With your support behind us, we just made a great team today and enabled us to win.
It's unbelievable for Gary. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him. You know, he did an unbelievable job, and to come from 50th to win the race is just incredible. So good luck to him and his team for the rest of the year.
A puncture 20 kilometres from the end of the race robbed John Ware-Smith and Joe Lima of victory.
You know what? Ask him last year, exact same place. I said to Siegfried, this is us last year.
Well
We got a puncher here.
Well done.
And I didn't know. No, brilliant, exact same place.
Oh, we got a puncher about 20 k's out, and that was us. Gary came past, and yeah, we were, but we had a couple of problems with the car. There's something wrong there. It's maybe the hydraulics or something, and the power comes and goes. But it ran great. It was a great race.
Mohammed Noble and Richard Hope bagged the Class S win for the second time this season.
I'm sure it puts me way up in the lead right now in the Class S. I pushed quite hard at the end. The rocks were, that middle section, it was very hard. And I tried to take it easy so I wouldn't get a puncture. But yeah, it was good. It was nice, fast, sore.
A back-to-back Class B win for Marcus Taylor and Mark Deschelaine.
Good sportsmanship from Bez Bezuidenhout. He was leading in the early stages, about 10 k's, and I think he stopped to pull the porter out that fell in a great big hole. And we were following him at that stage, and he pulled out to help the porter, and then from then on we never saw any other B car. So yeah, we really just ran our own pace the whole way.
Production vehicles are subject to random technical inspection to check that components being used fall within the rules and regulations governing the various classes.
I'm going to check the size of the air inlet restrictor to the engine. And then I'm going to seal the engine, and later on we'll strip it and have a look at it.
Technical consultant Dick Sorensen is charged with the task of checking for eligibility.
Okay, will you fire it up for me, please?
Production vehicles are fitted with performance restrictors on the air intake system, which when sealed off by a special tool must stall the engine. Stainless steel locking wire and specially marked tamper-proof seals are used to seal components for later inspection.
The vehicle just to check if the car is standard. This is the engine that was in it. Yeah. Because otherwise they could put some other engine in and then we'd be measuring. We're going to seal. Where am I going to put my seal? Okay.
2005 sees the introduction of a new production vehicle class, which is expected to be a major boost for off-road racing.
The move away from Class T was really started more than 18 months ago
by the need really to make a car more affordable, both to the manufacturers and to the privateers, but I think more importantly really is to make the technology accessible to a well-funded privateer team or all manufacturers alike. And that was really the underlying decision or task set to the manufacturers by themselves 18 months ago in order to forward off-road racing into the future. The new class really from D2 as it's been known, or D+, was really a working set of regulations. It has to have a new name, which is possibly yet to be decided, but it has to be based much more about a production vehicle with less modifications allowed, and that means less money that can be spent. But most importantly, there must be a cheap formula, and it must be cost effective. The parts used can be accessible to all the manufacturers alike, and it must be easy to maintain and built well once to run for the whole year. The appearance of the new class compared to Class T or the cars we've been seeing will be very little as far as Nissan's concerned. The car will still have the wide, aggressive look with the wheel arches. The track will be on the 2-meter limit, and the height-wise to cater for the rough terrain will be the same. As far as the speed is concerned, well, that will only in time of testing, come to the fore, really. But we intend, really, for less money and more cost-effective nature of the rules, our aim or our challenge is to be as fast as the cars were last year. In reality, there's far more restrictions, so I don't think they'll be quite as fast. But certainly from the sound point of view, we expect the cars to sound great and really be just as exciting, if not more exciting, because there'll be far more cars from different marques competing for the lead. And when we've got a good competition, good racing, we're going to have excitement. The manufacturer's commitment to the new formula, well, I really should only speak for Nissan's behalf because we've got 3 cars in Class T running this year, and we've elected next year, in the spirit of competition, to withdraw the 3 Class T cars from running in the South African Championship, and we will field at least 2 of the new cars in the beginning of the season. And I think that Toyota and Ford have the same opinion as we do, and there's a few privateers, namely 2 as far as the Nissan camp is concerned, who are very interested in having cars similar to the manufacturers and being able to win events overall. So the future looks very good. The construction of the new car will be far more like a production car. The main element of difference for Nissan is, whereas the engine on the T-Tracks, which we've had so much success with, was basically behind the front wheels or in the middle of the car, the regulations force the engine under the new class to be in the standard position, i.e. inside the engine compartment. So that will be the biggest single change of all to anybody looking at a Class D+, or the new class, what it's going to be called, in an existing T car. The suspension will be different in that the standard pickup points have to be used on the chassis. And as far as the cost is concerned, well, it's going to be substantially less, which will make it really affordable to a much wider range of competitors.
The Production Vehicle Championship is becoming a nail-biting affair, with any one of 4 crews capable of winning the title. Hannes Frobler and Richard Leek have seen their convincing mid-season lead whittled away by the opposition. Frobler and Leek have won 3 events this season and will have to finish ahead of teammates De Villiers and Jordan and Cox and Pitchford and Team 4's Woolwich and Scholthammer on the next 2 events if they hope to retain their championship crown. Cox and Pitchford have gone quietly about amassing championship points, while the Class T crews fight it out for overall honours and are only 22 points behind the leaders and 36 points ahead of Cronje and Birkin in the Class D battle, while Hugo and Jacques de Bruyn lead Class E by 47 points. Andre Botha and Beans Heidenrich on the Class F leaders in the Kopenhagen Hotel Super Team Chevy. Mafikeng and Carolyn may have convincing leads in the Special Vehicle Drivers and Co-Drivers Championships, but unless they finish and ideally win the next 2 events, they could see all their hard-earned work go down the drain. Mafikeng has won 3 races overall, and Carolyn has won twice, and they are the only special vehicle crew to have finished 5 out of 6 events this season. Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane blotted their copybooks with 2 non-finishers, but back-to-back class wins give them a 34-point lead over Giel Nel in the Class B Championship. Noble and Hope have a 32-point lead over Nardis Alberts and Colin Hunter in the Class S Championship battle.
The South African Off-Road Championship was proudly brought to you by ABSA. Speak to ABSA first for fast, flexible vehicle finance. We can also structure